Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap up this week's theme exploring LGBTQ plus artists in celebration of Pride Month with a band called Torche, which I just learned how to pronounce correctly. The song we're looking at is called Kicking. Now this came back in 2012 on the Harmonicraft album. And let's dive into it. See what Torche is bringing to the table today. That's a pretty Foo Fighters start right here. Oh, kind of. I like that bass tone a lot. Yeah, but this is really sludgy. Interesting combination. Nice combination of chords and riffs. We have a bit of a catchy, albeit slower melody here from the vocals in what I assume is the verse. That fuzzy compressed phasery guitar is an interesting choice to put on top of this. So that's a 5/4 section. This is a 6/4 section. And then this is 4/4. Huh. Cool drum pattern too. Oh, that's it? 2:36-ish? I mean, this is just the end of the video, right? Okay. The video wasn't even 3 minutes. The song barely got past 2.5. That's a fun track, though. I think it's a nice, light, easy way to end up and wrap up the end of the week here. I still stand that this feels like a Foo Fighters track in the most complimentary way that I can. Foo Fighters has released some fantastic music over the years, and I think this is a song that also has a lot of those elements in it. It sounds great. It's good to jam to. It has a nice hook to it, and it's kind of playful with its writing as well. I mean, even just looking at the time signatures in here, we have 5s, we have 6s, we have 3s, and we have 4/4s. So they get kind of playful with how long their phrases are, and it keeps the song feeling fresh. But there is the big elephant in the room too. There's a very not Foo Fighters part of this track, and it's noisier. I've been trying to place this. I used the term sludgy earlier, and I think that's probably accurate, but it doesn't quite feel like sludge metal. So I'm kind of curious where they sit on this, if there isn't a better description of their music than that. but I'm going to use the term sludge metal for the rest of this video. But they do end up getting a very sludgy tone to the guitars. The fuzz, the compression, they get cranked up, the overdrive gets cranked up, and somewhere around the middle of the track too, we also saw this very fuzzy, very compressed, very phasery guitar tone that was sort of waving around the place. It started on the right and kind of creeped around the sound sphere. That was an interesting choice, somewhere between sludge and gaze with that tone. Um, so yeah, just like on a production side, it moves from alt rock to sludge metal, and that's fun. It's not sludgy in an overbearing way. It's just like, oh, dude, filthy tone. I'm here for it. That kind of vibe, right? But there's also, I think, a nice dichotomy between the guitar riffs and the guitar chords. We probably hear chords a majority of the time on this. Well, they're probably about 50-50. If it is a majority, it's probably not much, more like a 60-40 split. There's a lot of chords, though. We hear chords during all of the choruses, and there's quite a few for the song only being 2.5 minutes long. There's also some chords in parts of the bridge, and the verses don't have chords. They're more riff-based, but there's less verses than anything else in the track. But I do feel like it's a nice division between the two styles of writing. The chords, they're chords. The riffs, I think, are strong enough to stand on their own. Nothing that I would say is necessarily memorable. However, that 5/4 riff is, yeah, I can still hear it clear as day. So there's always that too, using some of the novelty of different meter in order to create memorability of your riffage. The bass also has some fantastic lines in here, and there is a part after the second chorus where the bass gets like 2 beats, maybe, and plays this really sick line before we come into a variation of the chorus guitar stuff. So, yeah, the bass sounds sick. It's consistently a really strong bass sound to sit underneath, and it has the chops to do cool stuff too, even though it chooses not to most of the time. So, yeah, I mean, is there anything else I need to really bring up here? I don't think so. Short song, short discussion. I mean, we're still at like almost twice as long as the song is in analysis. So that's pretty on par for me. But we talked about production and sound. We talked about instrumentation. There's some really cool drum patterns in here, but for the most part, it's pretty standard fare. Although I did like the shifting between snare and hi-hat and bass kick and tom that we saw in like minute 145 or something. The drummer is basically moving back and forth between different parts of the drum kit, 2 beats per section, and I thought that sounded pretty slick. So we talked about the hooks on the vocals, rock, and sludge. Yeah, let me hit some lyrics on this. Well, there's 2 interesting things going on here. First of all, the lyrical structure is linear. I did not see this coming because I could have sworn we heard the chorus multiple times. So it makes me wonder if the chorus just isn't written every time it shows up by whoever wrote these lyrics. I think Genius is community contributed, so maybe that's just their style. I'm not a big fan of it if so. Regardless, looks totally linear to me. The second thing I notice about it is I have no idea what's going on here. Yep, it's like super vague, and let me just read some of this for you, I guess. Lights on in the kingdom, useless dream of the dead ones kicking. My bow shoots the arrow into deep, crack the marrow, kicking. Sailing on the sea, changing our beliefs, onward for the stone, laying out alone. So assuming we take this at face value, we have a kingdom and it's built on the dreams of the dead ones, but they're not any dreams. They're useless dreams. The things that these people wanted to do but never got around to because they didn't support what the kingdom needed for growth. Presumably what the king wanted the kingdom to be. And then there is combat. A bow is shot from an arrow and goes deep into the marrow. So assuming it goes bone deep into something. And then they're out on sea, changing their beliefs. Was it about indoctrination of the kingdom? And now they're seeing a different side of the world because they have more perspective on things? But it also says that they're alone, looking for a stone. It continues on and says, begging for supplies, season now gone by for now. So they don't have enough to get through the season and they need clothes, blankets, food. It says, learning to pass this by, we will believe our own lie, exposing only you. We own the room and you. Lights off in the kingdom, kicking. My best guess is that this is about somebody who was for the kingdom at one point, sailed for a bit and saw the rest of the world, gained new perspective, and decided that their kingdom wasn't something to promote and needed to be brought down, comes back and exposes the lie of the kingdom and defeats the king. He says, we own the room, we own you, and then the lights are off in the kingdom. So it's been toppled. If that's what's going on here, the music is way too fun for that. No, I don't know, man. It could just be a fun song, and it's not like this is super deep lyrically either. It's all very surface level stuff. It's very vague and just kind of says the bare minimum it needs to tell the story. And maybe that's kind of keeping the story light on its feet that goes along with this fun rock song. But it's not a story I would have expected for the music that I heard, which is kind of novel in and of itself, I suppose. In this context, we've listened to quite a few songs where I'm like, oh, they wrote this music, guy wrote these lyrics, put them together, nothing to do with each other. But I think just in this context, it's like it almost feels like a medieval song, which I would expect a metal band to cover, not sludge metal, not in the slightest, maybe symphonic metal. And this just kind of has a very light radio rock with a little bit of sludge touch to it. And it's like they're talking about this guy who's gets, reconditioned from his brainwashing in his kingdom. I don't know. I just wasn't expecting that, I suppose. These are my thoughts on Torche's Kicking. What did you think of this track, though? Did anything stand out to you? Is there anything you'd like to add on to what I said or correct me on? Maybe you have your own interpretation or opinion on the music or the lyrics or maybe both. Put all of that and any other thoughts you have down into the comments section. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today, but I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC, with an album review. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.